Hello and welcome to the Awaken Your Abundance program created by the Early Birds Club, a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing transformation through the use of the subtle morning hours to set the tone of your day. Awaken Your Abundance is EBC's signature program that offers participants a 7-month deep dive into experiencing abundance through deep inner work. We have the inspiring and delightful Thea Klincov with us today. Thea is the CEO of MHouse Media, a media production company dedicated to documenting and creating impactful stories of hope, transformation, and positive action in the world through still and moving pictures. Thea has also served tirelessly as the personal photographer and videographer to Mohanji, the world renowned humanitarian, for the last 4 years, traveling incessantly while also managing her company with team members across 3 continents. Thea has come a very long way from student to CEO since 2016, since she met Mohanji, and her journey of transformation is a deeply inspiring one. Thea, thank you so much for joining us. We cannot wait to hear your story of empowerment.
Thank you for having me here. It's a real pleasure.
So, Thea, for all those who've known you for these last few years, everyone cannot stop talking about the massive transformation you've undergone. Can you talk about this journey from the very beginning and what changed for you?
What changed for me, it's everything. Basically, as you said, I met Mohanji in 2016. At that point in time, I was in a really odd place in my life. Actually, the first part of my life was really, really odd and a bit unconventional. I was born in Serbia in 1993, and because of the war which was happening in that country back then, we moved to Belgium. So the first part of my life, I lived in Belgium. I started going to school there and so on. And somehow, all my life, during my whole childhood and teenage days, I was really shy, really introverted, but not in the good sense of the word. It's like it really made me suffer because I felt I had so many things to express inside and inside my heart, but I would be completely blocked on so many levels. And I really had the deep wish that this just to be able to express myself in many ways. For example, if I love someone, to be able to hug them, or just chat with people and these kind of things. But I was really, really shy. And I could say that I had a little bit of a difficult childhood in the sense, with my parents who divorced and they weren't really understanding me. We were fighting a lot. Actually, when I was 16 or 17, I was kicked out of my house. So I started living alone. And when I was really young, I was still going in school. So I started drinking very young and taking drugs very young. So this was kind of my childhood and my teenage days, So at 16, when I was kicked 17, sorry, when I was kicked out of my house and started living alone and working in a cafe during the night and going to school during the day, that year was very difficult for me in the sense that, I wasn't with my mom or my dad. I was alone, a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, these kind of things. So I was really, really lost, And later in that year, by the time the school year was over, it was my last year at school before university. Something happened. It was after my exams. I was with my friend, and I was just seeing him off after watching a movie together. And all of a sudden, something happened inside me. Like I just started being happy for no reason. It's like there was some kind of click, or now I can put the right words on it. It was a shift in awareness. But back then I had no clue what was happening. It's just all of a sudden something opened up like a click. It's like all the chains I had had in my whole life until then, everything that was ever blocking me just left. it just vanished. It's like, you know, in those books when people describe even enlightenment or something like that, I read few people speaking about it, like something very obvious, something that is there the whole time, like in front of your nose. It's so much there, but you cannot see it. It just requires a little shift in awareness to be able to feel it and experience it. It's like something like that happened to me then. Um, and this state of happiness was expanding more and more as the days were coming, and I started getting a lot of information and insights on the religions, on Jesus, on Buddhism, on past lives. I was 17 back then. I had never heard or read about these things. It just started coming to me, right? So I had no idea, but everything started making sense. I started really understanding the true meaning of being awake. It's like I was aware that I was experiencing an awakening, although I didn't know about the concept. It it just came. So it started being more and more, but in the society, I looked a bit like crazy. It's like now, you know, when Mohanji explains that when you experience Kundalini awakening, it can go in the right channel or left channel when it's not fully balanced. I now know that this is what happened to me then. It's like my system wasn't fully ready to receive it, so the society perceived it as me being crazy. So they put me in a mental hospital. And they gave me medicine. They gave me a diagnosis that I had bipolar disease, even manic depression, these things. And they told my mom, I was 17 then, so I was not, I was still a minor. So my parents were responding for me in the eyes of the government, right? So the doctor told my mom I would be forever in a mental hospital. Things like that happen, you know, and somehow, I don't know, my destiny and good star saved me. But basically, I spent time in that hospital, got this diagnosis, got medicine to take, and this kind of I won't go into details of it, but basically, this kind of awakening happened 3 times in 3 months that year. And it happened once in June, once in July, and once, no, July, August, September, that year in 2011. And after that happened, I decided I cannot live in Belgium anymore. I knew that I had experienced a higher reality or something. I had experienced the truth. And my only aim in life since that moment was to go back to that state and with full awareness and just share it with the world, because I knew this is the truth. I mean, or a part of truth. There is something in that state. It's so much, you know, like happiness, ecstasy, peace, everything just makes sense, you know. It's just our natural state, you know. So after that, I moved from Belgium to Bosnia. Uh, and I agreed because of my family, because I got different diagnoses. Even in one hospital, they told me I was schizophrenic and these kind of things. So I agreed because of my family to go to a psychiatrist and take medicine, like for the head. I did that for 6 to 8 months, and it was really, really weird because, you know, when people call it's like a mental prison, it's true. It's like you cannot think about anything higher. It puts you really down. It makes you a little bit dull. So I was doing that from 2011 to 2012. And then a few things happened. I won't go into details, but I ended up being in Serbia, um, and starting going to university there and all these things because I needed some stability in my life. So my aunt called me to live with her in Serbia. My main aim in my head was really to go back to that state. I needed answers, you know. I really needed answers. I tried to get some books and reading online what happened to me. I even read on some blogs that it was part of the, you know, shift in awareness in 2012, which was happening. So some people were experiencing these kind of things. I was really trying to find answers, a craving for it, because I knew what I experienced is the truth. And how can I go back there? I had the vision of myself, you know, at 80 years old, finally getting to that state somehow. I was like, I cannot wait until 80. I wanted before, you know. So this is what happened. I mean, and then I went from 2012 to 2016. I went to, I mean, until I met Mohanji, I was going to university and various things happened. I mean, my aim was still that in my head, but I was living a very normal life in the sense going to uni and all these things. By the way, I went to university studying something I didn't really like, which was literature. It was just to do something to make me stable, to give me a goal in life from that, state of mental disbalance. What I really wanted to do was study cinema and direction or camera stuff, these kind of things, but it didn't happen. So um, by university was really bad. I really didn't like it. It was really, really horrible, especially in Serbia. It's a very retarded system. Anyway, it took me a long time to finish my studies, 7 years instead of 4. But by 2015, I fell in a very, very strong depression. I started having panic attacks, basically. I was waking up during the night, didn't know who I was, where I was, why was I here, what is going on, all these things. And I really started having panic attacks. And I really wanted something to change. So by the end of that year, in September, October, I decided, okay, now I have to change something. Because during the holiday, I went at the seaside on the most beautiful island in Greece, sitting there, wild camping, wild island. It just looked like heaven. Yet in my mind, I was so unhappy and depressed. It's like, okay, if you reach that state, it means something is wrong. You have to change something now. So when I came back to Serbia from then I made a change, which was started going to yoga lessons. This was something I was thinking about for many months, but as a student, I thought, it's too expensive. I won't do that and all these things. But I said, no matter how much it costs, I have to do something for me. And this is when things started shifting. From the first lesson I went to, and I will be forever grateful to that teacher, I felt a sense of peace inside. But then after the class, I walked with that teacher to the bus station and I started asking her some questions because I had, some spiritual questions, and I noticed I cannot get an answer from this person. So it's limited, right? And all the people I had met so far, the answers they were giving me were very limited. You can feel there is a limit to their knowledge, or something. You cannot get to the truth and essence by speaking to them. But still, the yoga was good. And then from that moment in time, I believe that my frequency or energy started shifting and everything started shifting in my life. I changed flat. All the negative people that were around me started like just naturally disappearing. They didn't contact me anymore. Like best friend type of people, so close. It's just all of a sudden, without any hustle, without any drama, we don't have a communication anymore. It's like the binding between us is broken. And it's something that I've been struggling with for a year or two, that I wanted to separate from these people. And all of a sudden, after I started going to yoga and watching many YouTube videos on, like spirituality and all that, everything started shifting. And it was so amazing. And then naturally, after a few, like 4 or 5 months, I heard about some meditations from my yoga teacher, some meditations which were happening. And it happened so to be Mohanji's meditation. But I had no idea. Basically, I went to that first meditation, not knowing whose meditation it was. Also, the meditation was guided. It was in Devi's voice. And it was so cute and so subtle because no one mentioned Mohanji anywhere. It's just that I listened to that power of purity meditation. And although energetically I was so blocked, I couldn't feel anything. It's like after that meditation, I felt so a sense of peace and belonging. It's like in my head, there was this thought, this powerful thought, like, don't worry, you are where you need to be. From now on, everything will be okay. And I will remember that forever. And from then on, I started attending the meditation every week, and then twice a week. As it shifted to being twice a week, I became hooked to the power of purity meditation. And then we started having more meditations coming, like Blossoms of Love, Bliss of Silence, and so on. And I was hooked. And of course, I started to know about Mohanji and connecting to him. It was all very subtle and organic. And after 6 months, he had a program in Serbia, which I decided to attend, of course. And this is when things started shifting even more, because until then I still had the question in my mind, what happened to me back in 2011, and how can I reach back that state? Was I crazy or not? I knew I was not crazy, but still it's good to get confirmation from someone that you're not nuts, you know? So back then, Mohanji, it was still a low number of people coming to the programs, and he was still doing one-on-ones with people. So I got an opportunity to speak to him privately. And of course, one of the first things I asked him is, I told him what happened then, and I asked him what it was. You are not from, he doesn't tell these things usually, but probably I needed that confirmation. He said, you are not from this place, or your soul is not from this place. And it's basically, it kind of carries a different vibration, and you experience that state. You experience the state of where you come from. And your, no, he didn't say mission, but you can, it's like, you can embody that again and share it with the world. But basically what I wanted to do, what I felt I wanted to do with that state. And then he took my hand and he asked me to close my eyes and tell what I felt. And I started feeling some expansion, like a tiny, 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 tiny glimpse of that state again, which I mean, I never felt it again like that, but you know, this happened. So from then, I don't know, my journey with Mohanji really started being deeper. Obviously, I started volunteering however I could. And I think in 2018 or 2019, I started volunteering as a photographer. It was always something always I liked, but I never had the courage to, do it so much. I didn't have confidence in myself to ever, earn from it or whatever. This changed with time, obviously. But yeah, so that's really the beginning of my journey with Mohanji.
Wow, that's really, really inspiring what you've just said. And thank you for going into it with so much detail and sharing so deeply of yourself. It was very moving. You talked about volunteering, and I know that you've mentioned this even, where you've spoken about yourself in your CV. You've talked about the fact that volunteering is something that is, it's impacted and empowered you. So, and you say that photography was your way of volunteering. Can you talk a little bit more about how this became your way of seva? Like,
It was really natural because I had a chance to have connected with my love for photography since very young. So I had also the chance to go in art secondary school and study photography for 3 years. So it was something very natural for me. I had a knowledge already, and I had a camera. So um, somehow it happened so that people started noticing I have a camera, I can take photos. So why not call me as a volunteer for programs, right, as a photographer? So very organically it started happening. But I would have never thought it could become a career, although it was a wish of mine. But I never had the confidence to make it as a career. I would just keep it to the stage of, volunteering, and that's it.
so as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
But I remember clearly when I was 12 or 13, I started having the real clarity that I want to be in the field of making movies. But before that, that's the first time I remember really something concrete that really resonated inside my heart. Before that, I don't really remember.
So Mohanji always encourages everyone to find their particular voice, their own creative pulse and to act on it. And um, of course, as a child, 12 and 13 is, of course, childhood. You're just transitioning into that, being a young adult, you're coming into your own at that age. Um, so how do you feel that he's empowered you to act on your creative impulse? How did you feel empowered? Because you did mention that there was this great hesitation to share your light with the world at that time.
Yeah, even to, there is a hesitation even to, it's like the light is so dimmed inside. That's what happens with many of us right now in this day and age. And because of so many reasons, so many people are so blocked, they cannot express anything. They are dull, and that light inside is so small. actually, so we cannot even express it. So for me, what really changed everything again is the fact of meeting Mohanji and being in his presence, whether physically or non-physically. And why is that important? We all know that in the world, everyone has energy and energy exists. And this is something that we cannot deny. It's like if you're sitting in a room and someone who is very bright and positive enters, you will feel good around them. If someone very depressed and very angry enters, you will feel it and you don't want to be near them, right? So same here, there are people who have so much brightness and so much good energy. And it's like they came on this planet to make a good difference in the world. And for me, Mohanji is one of these people who, for some reason, he is so pure on so many levels that when you are in his energy, which is so strong that so many people can feel it, even if they're not near him physically. So if you're in his energy, it will have a good impact on you. It's like sharing the good vibes, but on a much, much, much bigger level. So for me, just meeting him and hearing his words or being in his energy just did something to me like it does to so many people. It's like our cells inside, our energy shift. They start absorbing his vibration, right? So this is what happened to me, and it changed everything for me. Everything, my way of seeing life, my way of seeing myself, my way of communicating, my self-confidence. It's like now, 8 or 9 years after meeting him, from someone who was sitting in a corner, completely shy and not wanted to speak anything, now I feel I can really conquer the world and do anything.
That's an amazing transformation. And I've seen that. I've seen how you are so present in every space, seamlessly, sort of both being there and doing your work. Um, and you're such an integral part of how people experience Mohanji's energy across the world. It's through your pictures, through your videos, through that constant. You are our eyes into the world of Mohanji for all of us, and we're very grateful for it. Um, you spoke a bit about that internal experience of, of your self-esteem and your motivation being boosted. Can you share a few anecdotes of the early years when you felt that transformation? Were there interactions that made it happen, or was it just a seamless sort of transition? Was there conflict? Can you share more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it happened on so many levels. Um, so for me personally, I would put this into stages in my life. So first of all, when I came to Serbia, and that was before meeting Mohanji, when I was in that disbalanced state of mind, which I told you about, I was very committed to going to the psychologist once a week. Because and I feel it's very important and useful for anyone to start understanding how our mind works. We all know that we have different layers of our persona, and there's the mental layer. So I feel it's important to understand the mechanism of it. And this is something that really helped me understand myself better. And it kind of prepared the ground for me to meet Mohanji later, because for five good 5 years, I was regularly going to the psychologist once a week, and she helped me so much. She became like my second mom. So uh, that's one thing. Because before when meeting Mohan, she was very shy, but before that, I was even more shy and more closed and more messed up. So these 5 years at the psychologist really helped me, release things such as social anxiety, which I had tremendously. I could not go in, social situations or speak to a group of more than 3 people, things like that. And it really helped me. By the time at Mohanji, I could speak with, groups of 4 people. But before that, it was really, really horrible. People speak to me and I don't say anything kind of situation because I'm too scared to utter anything. So first of all, that psychologist thing who helped me realize things about, the parents or your upbringing, how it impacts you, and really work on that. And then after meeting Mohanji very soon, obviously the power of purity meditation really did, I don't know, was so, so, so important in my journey. And I would recommend this meditation to anyone, actually, whether you are a believer or a non-believer. You don't even have to believe in God or whatever. It can even be just a simple relaxing tool, and it can also be an enlightenment tool. You can take it as you want. But just practicing this meditation once and twice a week, I feel really put me in a state of alignment. Then later on, uh, after meeting Mohanji, what really impacted me was the fact that in Belgrade, we took one space which became kind of a Mohanji center. So I was living there and we were conducting regular meditations. And I took on myself to conduct the meditations myself, which I was so, like, I have to tell you that the first Power of Purity meditation I ever conducted, like before that, I think I was crying the whole day and shivering because it's like, okay, I was shy, but many times I was still purposefully putting myself in the situations that scared me just to overcome it, although it was very difficult. So I put myself in a situation that I committed to conducting a meditation once a week. And it was so scary for me. But I have to tell you that after 2, 3, 4, 5 months, it opened me up so much as a person who could actually speak in front of people much more. And then in 2019, we had the Acharya training to which I applied. We had also public speaking, all these things. And it's like something also opened up there. And by 2021, I became part of the Mohanji office. And this is when the real fire started. It's like all these years built me up to some extent where I became somewhat more open, but still so much work was still there. And when I started, living with him and moving with him, this is when he puts you in the machine for real. So there are situations where, I mean, obviously just by being in his energy, as I explained before, he is such a bundle of good energy, like constantly, that it impacts you and it changes you. But sometimes he also on purpose puts you in certain situations that you have to overcome some things. So he will tell you to do some things or that you don't really want to do or that scare you, but you have to do it because he said so and it changes you forever. For my photography, yes, maybe one of the first situations that ever happened was my first trip ever with him. So it was in August 2021. We went to Netherlands and then to Finland for his programs. So I was accompanying him as a photographer. And one day we were in Finland, and all of a sudden, he just told me, by the way, your photos are very flat. They're very, very bad. Your angles are horrible. You have no idea how to take photos. So, and usually when he says these things, it's like his mood is good, and then all of a sudden he becomes so strict and so much, fire going through him, and he tells you something, and I mean, it hurts a little bit, right? Because you think you're doing a good job and all these things, and then all of a sudden he tells you these kind of truths in your face, and he doesn't choose his words. I mean, he says it very says it very directly. So what he did then, he a little bit, I mean, not scolded me, but he was a little bit, strict. And then before I saw anything happening, he just jumped on the couch and he said, "See, if you see the world from the perspective of a giraffe, it's different." And then he started squatting and said, "And if you see the world from the perspective of the frog, it's also completely different. So you have to imagine you're many different types of animals or people and try to find different angles." And I can tell you, since that day, my photography changed. Yeah, and I mean, many different situations like that, happened. where, you know, he puts you on the stage or in the middle of the situation, or yeah, he scolds you in front of people, things like that, where he uses a little bit of intensity just to make your evolution faster.
I remember that when Subhashri interviewed you for the Guru Leela, she spoke about this piece where she said that the presence of a master is fire, and it just completely burns you to the point, you know, it burns your mind, it burns your personality, it burns every aspect of you that can limit you. So, yes, that would be lovely if you spoke more about that.
Some people, we call them masters, but it's not being a master of anyone. It's being a master of oneself and of one's mind, because we are not here by accident, and there is much more to what we can see or perceive. There is definitely something called as, you know, um, energy or spirit and these kind of things. And there is these kind of people who master themselves to be fully aligned and aware of that energy inside of them and outside of them. And this is technically our natural state. It's our natural birthright to be that, but most of us forgot it. Some people like me had a glimpse of it, and really, you know that it exists and that this is true, and want to go back to it. Some people didn't have a glimpse, but a strong feeling that this is there, but definitely this is there. And people like Mohanji, we call them also guides, because they can guide us to that, uh, back to this through different things. And for Mohanji concretely, what he does, and part of his teachings are how he empowers us, is he really empowers us to be us. So his main teaching is be you, be authentic, be yourself, accept yourself. And he forces us to do that in many ways, and sometimes it can also be even, painful.
No, that's lovely how you said it. That's exactly what happens, and I'm very glad that you explained the role of, you know, what a master is and how it works on you when you are around people who have that sort of understanding of who they are in the world, what the world is, and how they, you know, work in that space. Um,
It's like having a teacher. Basically, for anything in life, we need a teacher. To learn how to drive, we get a driver, like a person who will teach us how to drive. Same to discover yourself. There is many ways you can do it, many, many, many ways, but I feel that the fastest way is with someone who already found themselves.
I'm also really grateful to you for not only mentioning, because of course Mohanji was very integral to that transformation that you experienced in a very full way. But before that, the effort that you made to come to that point, the fact that you went to a psychologist and committed yourself to that. And I know that Mohanji also talks very often about how important it is to have people like that in our lives, in schools, to sort of guide children, to guide people about how to even arrive at that inner space of trusting yourself, you know, and to take help from wherever you can find it and embody your true self. You need sometimes that external guidance. So we really appreciate you talking about that. Can you say a little bit more about this?
Yeah, I mean, it was life-changing for me. And this woman, I will be forever grateful to her. I saw her every week for about 5 years, probably. And it it helped me so much. It's like, because mm, we all experience certain mental states in our lives and emotions and so on. And for me, just by going to the psychologist, I learned a little bit more about how emotions work and why I'm reacting to certain situations in a certain way. Already, like, in psychology, you already have the concept of patterns, behavior patterns, and all these things, which Mohanji goes even deeper into that to eradicate them completely and shift them and all that. But just in psychology, so much you can learn already, and do so much work. it's just like getting to know yourself and why you react in certain ways, and to be able to change it a little bit and be more balanced in life. For example, for me, so many things of my social anxiety were or my lack of mm, belief in myself were linked to my relationship with my mom and the way our communication was, and because I never could express myself in my childhood and different things, because whatever I tried to do, maybe I was scolded or things like that. I mean, so all of us, the way we react in life is because how we were brought up by our parents, for example. And that's why also I try my best not to judge people too much, because I know that everyone is the results of their upbringing and so many other things. Later on, I learned with Mohanji, it's not only our upbringing, it's our whole lineages and our past lives and the karma of our country. And like we're a bundle of so many things we're carrying that we have to sort out. It's like all of us has such a backlog and a burden we're carrying. It's like instead of traveling first class with, just one carry-on, we travel with, 5 suitcases like gypsies and everything falling everywhere. So um it it's like everyone has that, but everyone can also sort this out, and just through psychology and later on through knowledge I got from Mohanji, I understood that it's definitely possible to appease that, and live a more balanced life, which I came to experience. So I would recommend to anyone, just there is so many tools to help anyone find themselves and connect back to that fire inside, which we all have.
Beautiful. Thank you. Uh, Thea, who were your role models growing up?
When I was 17, I remember writing on a piece of paper when people asked me like what I wanted to do later on, like something like Dalai Lama, I would say. But I think with time, I also started realizing inside maybe the only thing that can help me is mm, to do humanitarian work, or something that will make others feel good. Later on, I understood through Mohanji, it's something actually that brings you out of these depressive states. But that was kind of a lifestyle I could imagine that would be always an option there for me.
So you touched upon a very important thing here with what you just said. And this is something Mohanji always talks about. He talks about turning pain into purpose as a way to realize who you are. Um, Could you talk about this? And maybe you will bring in some of the things that you've already mentioned, but just with this specific idea of turning your pain, your personal, um, tribulations and personal, obstacles into a way to propel you into service and to express yourself in your most uh, abundant way and your most unique way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the it's one of the main things. And I like that you mentioned this word of purpose because it's closely connected to fire. It's like really that third chakra, the fire of purpose. And this is what actually through the teachings of Mohanji and what all we're doing here through all these platforms, including EBC, this is what we are getting towards, is really to get connected a strong sense of purpose. And this is really what saved me, because synonym for Mohanji is purpose, and his whole life is about purpose. And just looking at him living his life, you cannot get non-inspired to do something. Yeah, it's just, he does so many things. I think he barely. I mean, even when he sleeps, he doesn't really sleep. So he's always busy with something. So again, the purpose is what definitely saved me and brought me into the track. And even before meeting Mohanji and after meeting him even more, my belief that whatever hardships happen in one's life is always for a purpose as well. Um, because it's like if you manage to get out of it, and can find a balance or a way out, you can really help so many people. So I truly believe that so many people go through hardships, but also have a blessing of having a strong determination to get out of it, because they have to do a service in the world of helping so many people to, um, get out of it. Because it's our nature to help and to serve, I believe.
That is our highest calling. It elevates us when we serve.
I
Uh,
truly feel so, yeah.
Beautiful.
And
Thank you.
inspiring this thing of service. Many times people come to Mohanji and ask him, uh, that's why he's so unconventional as a master as well. They ask him, for things like spiritual practices or things to do, how to get relief from some specific issues or whatnot. And many times, the beautiful answer or advice he will give them is just, feed some birds or feed fish or do selfless service, because there is such a power in that. That's why you will see many, spiritual organizations in the world, including ours, that have really the spiritual side, but also the humanitarian side, because it really goes hand in hand. And sometimes, and very often actually, more than sitting and meditating, just doing selfless service will elevate you much more. It's one of the strongest purification you could do for yourself.
Thank you, Thea. Um, as the CEO of a company that has employees across the globe, at such a young age, you're an inspiration to a lot of young people. What would you say to youngsters who may be experiencing anxiety or lacking clarity or direction or feeling overwhelmed? How would you guide them to find their voice, their motivation, and their drive? And I know that you do employ a lot of young people from the Mohanji Youth Club. So this is
Yeah,
something that you're already practicing.
yeah. I mean, I would say, because I've been there, I would say that everyone is unique. I don't want it to sound too generic, but it's really true. Everyone is unique, and you have your, own voice and own relevance and own talents. And don't compare yourself too much with others. If you need to compare yourself with someone, compare yourself to yourself from 1 year ago, and keep doing that check, from time to time. And if you have any affinities towards any, creative work, you can work with me as well, and we'll have a lot of fun.
No, I know that from personal experience. You are a very wonderful person to work with. You're very open, you're very accepting, and you're very encouraging. So I can imagine that a lot of young people find their voice and their space very easily with you.
Yeah, we actually need to do that. Sorry to interrupt. Um, One of our next big goals to work on in MHouse Media is really build our internship program. So we have professionals on one hand, but on the other hand, we really want to give an opportunity for people, to learn and maybe discover talents they didn't have, and really to grow with us if they feel so. It's really important for us, because tomorrow, I mean, the future is the young generation. So if anyone can benefit from being part of MHouse Media, I'm very happy and honored to give them that space and opportunity.
That's beautiful. That's also very forward thinking of you. So what is the quality that you value most in someone you consider a prospective collaborator or an employee at M House?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there's different there's different things. Um, I mean, I always appreciate, obviously, when someone is proactive, and feels free to be proactive. Like, I think many people can be proactive, but maybe don't feel the confidence to do so. So I really appreciate when someone, has that and opens up to, be free to, suggest or take decisions, or, things like that. I like also seeing the change that happens with people, because so far also few people who have been working with me, I can see that their transformation since the past 1 year, that they really opened up, their creative channels, and they're able to do much more. And even I just love seeing people evolving in the way that's best for them. And also, I mean, it's good for the company also, always, but I just love that. So a quality that I'm looking for is like, I mean, I just like people who um, are creative and are eager to learn. You don't even have to be a professional, but I really appreciate when someone is eager to learn and also is not afraid to learn themselves, so that they don't uh, ask me for everything, but that they have the proactiveness to, for example, Google something if they need to find a solution, that they really find ways to achieve their goal how they can. For example, there's that one person from Mohanji Youth Club working with me, and I really admire her so much because she's taught for so many things, including video editing. And when she has to do something, she does it. But because she's self-taught, she didn't do it in the way like a normal learned video editor would do, which is point A to point B. She would just find a way to do it that's so complicated, takes so much longer, but she does it. She has so much determination that she does it. The result is good. She complicated her life, but that's okay. I really appreciate that. And then I explain, how we can do better, and she learns and she's happy. But that kind of determination to achieve a vision, I really appreciate.
That's lovely. And that's not very easy for someone so young to hand over, that autonomy to people, or allow them that space. Can you share some stories of how you motivate and empower your team?
I mean, I don't know. I feel I'm still learning. It's all very fresh, and it's very, very new for me. Um, I mean, I loved every single minute of it, every single step of it, but I can say it's very easy. Um, because when you're leading a team, every person is so different, because every person has their own character and constitution, and I'm still struggling with finding the right way to approach everyone. I cannot approach one person the way I approach another person. You really have to adapt yourself to everyone. I mean, it's a sadhana, a spiritual practice in itself, actually. Because it's a kind of, you have to get out of yourself and feel. So I've tried many things. For example, I had one situation with one person I'm working with, very, very talented person. Like, I respect this person so much. But we had some situation where we have a job for a client and a video has to be done, like video editing as per script. And then from this person who I know works very well, based on the script or something, I get a video that is rubbish. I'm like, how come this came from someone who is able to do so beautiful things that I saw in the past? So I thought I tried to analyze and see why this is happening in such a way. So I had a conversation with this person and said, see, you got a script, but please don't see that as written into stone. I believe in you. I believe in your creativity, and I trust you 1000%. I don't want you to take the script as I give it to you and as a robot just do it. I want you to suggest and to feel your heart and to feel your creativity and do something, even if that means changing some things in the script. We can discuss about the changes, but please be creative and follow your heart. And then after following this advice, the second video that came was really good. I understood that this was the right thing to do with that person.
So, our program is designed, sorry, to help participants recognize that inner space of limitless abundance. What would you like to share with them about finding that fire and empowerment within?
I believe in kind of a holistic approach, because we are not just uh, see, for me, like again, I'll say it through my example. For me, it took years and years and years to build some kind of determination. I was very like something before, even if I want to do something, it's blocking me. It's like I want to get up in the morning and do some things, and I have ideas and all, and at some point during the day something will happen. I'm not able to think and do anything, and I just feel like lying in the bed. This is because maybe your mental state is not sorted. Maybe you have ideas and visions and all that, but there is some kind of disbalance somewhere. So I would really recommend everyone, I mean, if it's possible for everyone, just to try to know yourself, like all the different dimensions of yourself, because we are not just the body, we are the mind, we are the emotions, we are, you know, our conditioning, we are our spirit. There is so many different persons in one person. So just by giving yourself the freedom to know yourself and accept yourself, in the sense, you know, maybe your parents want you to be a doctor, but truly inside you want to be, you know, a musician, that's fine. So really follow your truth and follow yourself. This is the best thing you can do to yourself and to the world. And there is many tools, um, many people that can assist you on this path. I really recommend that, and don't be afraid to follow your true calling and what your heart is, you know, vibrating for.
Beautiful. Thank you, Thea. Thea, can you share a bit about how you started MHouse Media?
Sure, it's my pleasure. So, several years ago, while I was already involved with the Mohanji Foundation, um, you might know that Mohanji is founding many different platforms to suit many different types of personalities, because there is so much work to be done in the world and positive change to happen, and everyone is different. So for every type of personality, we have different platforms. And by then already we had some individuals in the Mohanji network who were from the field of media, or who were, you know, budding photographers, videographers, and so on. So he put out the idea of um, creating media agency or something like that. And by then I was already volunteering as a photographer, so naturally I became part of it with other people. And a few months after that, we, you know, found the name of MHouse Media. Mohanji's first suggestion was Beatle Media. he wanted he wanted something that sounded, you know, he loves the Beatles. So he wanted something to sound, you know, a bit catchy. And the team by then, it was 4 or 5 of us, Leah, Anya, Anouk, and myself. We brainstormed and we found the name of MHouse Media, because it's a media house, and it's like it's Mohanji's house, you know, MHouse Media, and we got the logo made. That was all in, I think that was 2018 or 2019. It happened then. And Mohanji's vision already then was for it to be a media agency. He gave us different input, but it started off more like the volunteering work happening in the foundation in the media field was we were using MHouse Media logo, or like at the end of the YouTube videos and all that, we would put MHouse Media. So nothing really concrete was happening. And we tried to get clarity from him year by year, and we were doing some things, but yeah, nothing so concrete. And then I in 2021 I joined him as a photographer, and I think in 2022 he told me only, you know, just he appointed me as CEO of MHouse Media, basically. That's it. I mean, nothing more to it, but it's just one more. I mean, me, who, like, I never knew how to, you know, even create an Excel sheet type of person, me. So this is one more proof of how, you know, he sees our potential, and he would trust us. He would entrust us to trust ourselves, and really give us everything in, and push us to attain our highest goal. And I can tell today, I mean, Host Media is registered in 2 countries, and I have one more company coming up, and 2 like more branches of MHouse Media in different countries. And I mean, although I don't know what tomorrow will bring, I'm confident everything will be okay, because as I said, Mohanji gave me that fire inside that I know I can conquer the world, especially because it's for a selfless purpose, and especially because I know it's okay for me, but mainly for all the people that will get connected to it. And when you do something that is selfless by nature and pure by nature, there is no other way that the universe, the universe will support you, because you want to do something positive. So all the doors will open up somehow. And this is really what I experience every day of my life.
Wow, that's really inspiring, Thea, and we wish you a lot of luck with all your new ventures. One very important thing that you mentioned right now, which we haven't touched upon, but which is such a critical part of finding that voice and sharing your light, is getting out of your comfort zones, and that's something you've repeatedly pointed to, that Mohanji's always put you in these positions where, you had to break out of a comfort zone very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he does that with everyone, no? He did that with you too, no? That's his secret technique. He just does that, but yeah, that's the only way for us to grow. And also, I mean, I like to say that his his true teaching is the Jaldi method. It means, just everything fast, because we have no time to lose, because so many things are. So this is why it's so important to get out of the limitations of our minds. Not that I can do it. So many times I still feel oppressed or limited or things like that, but the real reality is that there is really no time to lose. So many things are changing in the world so rapidly, and uh, we really need strong and powerful people. Like, we really need an army of uh, positive and powerful people to, make a change in the world, and even more than that, to shine bright, so more people who really want to change and really want to find themselves can get an opportunity to do that by connecting to us. Because if I remember myself from when I was 10 or 11, I would have been so happy to meet someone who would tell me, everything is okay with you. Don't worry. So, someone who found themselves, or someone who knew something more about life, that there is not only, the regular things. So all of us have that opportunity, that luck, that we know that truth, so we can shine that truth so bright that we can help so many people.
True. And I think also, even if you do not have access to a master or that space, where you have a mentor who's guiding you, just the fact that you can put yourself to task and get out of your comfort zone and push yourself, those are the only ways that you can break out of limiting belief.
Yeah, and this thing of getting, even I mentioned the psychologist earlier, right? So I remember some exercises she was giving me when I was still suffering so much from social anxiety. Um, she started telling me, just watch yourself. Like, step by step, put yourself in those situations that make you uncomfortable and do little experiments with yourself. So actually, what really helped me then to shift my social anxiety, and like really by almost 50 or 60% get rid of it, was that I would play some games. You know, I knew I have social anxiety, but I would say, like, today on purpose, I'll put myself in this situation and see how I react, and just take it as a game. It really helped me. Another thing that helped me is conscious communication with people. If, for example, I was with a group of friends and they would tell me, okay, let's go out tonight, and for me, like, the only way to go out is to really get drunk, so I can, not have the social anxiety so much. But at that point in time, I didn't want to get drunk. I was trying not to drink. So I would tell them, see, understand, for me, I'm a bit more shy. I have social anxiety. I don't feel comfortable going out and being in this situation. And I would start explaining them how I feel inside. And it would it's like from the moment I started openly speaking about it, this state inside started changing. Not because they understood, but because I started accepting that I have that and openly speaking about it. And then by itself, it started changing. I believe it's probably part of that self-acceptance. Like it's like automatically when I started accepting I have that and speaking about it, after a few months, it was reduced so much.
That's actually one of the practices we do as part of our program, where we consciously try to identify our lenses or the things that the views or the conditioning that we hold. And the moment you kind of shine a light on that, it begins to dissolve.
And it really works, I have to tell, because when you hear in theory, you're like, oh my God, this is some kind of, spiritual whatever.
Thank you, Thea. That's really powerful work.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to hear you're doing that for your program. I really wish you the best of luck and best of success, and that it can really, uh, reach a wide audience.
Thank you, Thea. You've stated that as a company, your mission is to give visibility and offer a platform to NGOs and organizations that are adding value to the world. How do you define this adding value to the world, and how are you doing this?
Okay. For me, it's very simple. It's like whatever makes a positive difference in the world through media, for, MHouse Media concretely. So we will work with people who share the similar values, that what they do is genuine and wants to make a positive difference in people's lives or in the world. So our clients are, NGOs or environmental organizations, or, individuals who, um, have a empowering story to tell, um, vegan brands, even corporates who, spread a word or have a mission of, doing something good for the society or whatever. Um, and for me, it's very clear. I mean, all of us experience, all of us watch movies, so we all know how it feels when you watch a movie which after one day you forget, or like a horror movie, or I don't know what, where you feel a little bit heavy inside, versus movies uh, or videos. After you watch them, it's like here in this area around the heart you feel expansion. That expansion is what our mission at MHouse Media is.
That's lovely how you put it. And that's essentially the way for all of us to it's that guiding principle for all of us to really understand where we find our light and how we express our unique fire in the world.
But everyone has it, and I just got reminded of what Mohanji says about the traditional system that was there in India before, of the gurukuls. I believe that's the way it's called. It's like education based on people's characters and skills. It's like um, when you have a kid, you can easily recognize what their affinity is, and you will support them to get educated in what their affinity is. You can really feel and recognize what this person is about, and what can make it, and what they're good at, and really support them into that. So again, it's a shout out to all kids just to follow their true calling, and to all parents to respect that as well.
Thank you, Thea. Can you share a video or a photograph that really captures that translation of your creative idea to the perfect expression, something that just felt right for you?
Oh, the Mohanji fragrance video. First of all, it's such an amazing project. So for people who don't know, there is a perfume inspired by Mohanji that has been made. And the perfume itself is really wonderful. And I was so lucky that I was hired, I mean, MHouse Media was hired to produce the video ad for it. And this is such a turning point and an important moment for us as a company, because first of all, it's the first project ever that we actually had budget to work with. So it was so empowering for me because I could choose the people I want to work with. So first of all, I had the lesson of um, teamwork. But the teamwork, the kind of teamwork I chose and I wanted to do, because I chose every single person I will work with on that project. And it was the most wonderful experience ever as a creative person. And then I could do things such as, hire a videographer and book a hotel for the whole crew. And that moment changed my life forever. I mean, it made me feel so good and so powerful that I could do something like that. And and I mean, during the shoot, I had amazing experiences with Mohanji as well, how he made the impossible possible, how he changed the weather just to get the perfect shot. In the middle of rain, you have like 5 minutes of sun and the perfect shot with the mountain and the sky and everything, which I didn't tell him we needed, but we needed as per the script. But I had already given up on that, thinking, no way it will happen, yet it happened, and things like that. I mean, that shooting of that commercial was one of my highlights for sure of 2024. And I hope that many more will come and that many more, people can be involved in those projects.
Thank you so much, Thea. Thank you so much for sharing of yourself so generously, so openly. And I know that this episode is going to be so impactful because of your warm-hearted, open sharing. Thank you so
Oh,
much for joining us.
thank you so much for inviting me.